Good morning, Icloners. This weekend I'm releasing a little anthology, an animated anthology called Perchance to Dream. Has some clips from several members of the community, including Toy Story Lab, Anna Magic, a newcomer called Jezebel, who did a clip in Crazy Talk Animator, and then myself, four animators and six clips. Excuse me. One of the clips that I did myself had an interesting scene in it that I enjoyed animating. I thought it was kind of interesting the way that I did it, and so I decided I would share that information in a tutorial. It's a dream. My clips are actually a dream diary, and in my dream, I'm helping somebody down a hallway. And so I had the challenge of one, figuring out how to make a person walk like they were injured, and then two, having a second person walking next to him, supporting that character's weight a little bit, as you might see two people walking, one of them being injured. So how do we do that kind of thing? I got some results that I liked, and I'm going to share my process with you. And it's basically, uh, I guess, three separate things. First, it's creating the character's injured walk, and for that, I used what is it called? Uh, the puppeteer, we'll go through it. And then once you've created the injured walk, it's an issue of putting the two characters together and having them walk down the hallway at the same speed. You might use a follow path. You might use something like a persona and click to put them there, but I didn't do that. What I did was I attached the two characters or linked the two characters to a cube and then moved the cube down the hallway. And I'll show you that. And then third, how to put the one character, have him support the other character by attaching his hands to certain body parts. And for that, I'm using reach objects, and I'll show you that. So there's basically three steps to this tutorial. So step one, we're going to add in a character. I like to use Chuck. He's easy on the eyes and not too taxing on the system, not too heavy. And I'm going to add Chuck twice. So one Chuck will be injured and the other Chuck will be helping him down the hallway. Okay, so like I said, for the first one, we're going to use the motion puppet to create our injured walk. And it has a pretty good starting place with this depressed walk, and I'll show you. Okay, so even there at the beginning, the depressed walk is something kind of like what I want. I'm going to stop. Two things. I'm going to have him as his arm is kind of injured and he's cradling his arm to his belly as if he's protecting it, and then his head's going to be down. And so before I worry about the motion puppet, I'm going to adjust those two parts of his body by using the edit motion layer. I'm going to angle his head down a little bit, and then I'm going to figure out how to cradle his arm to his belly. And we'll just adjust some things here, kind of like that. Let's see what that looks like on the side. That's not bad, pretty good there. I like that. And then we go back into the motion puppet, and I'm going to select this depressed walk, and I'm going to mask out both the head and the arms, and we'll preview it there. Okay, so that's not quite there because his arm is going into his belly, so we'll pull it out a little bit. Back into the motion puppet. I'm sorry, back into the edit motion. We're just going to angle it out a little bit so that it doesn't go into his belly as he's walking. Let's see if that works better. Edit motion, motion puppet. Very useful tool, the motion puppet. I love the ability to mask things out. There we go. That's looking a lot better, right? Now it's as if he's holding his arm to his belly. He's trying to protect it a little bit. Now, what else should we do with this? We can, now that we've masked it out, you can stop, and we go into the presets, and we have a lot of adjustments that we can make here. Oops, go back, preview, and while you're doing this, we can lower him, raise him up. He might be crouched a little bit. His shoulders up or down, and we're going to do a slouch. A slouch is good. His arm, it goes a little bit into his belly there. We can change that in a minute. His elbow in or out. Something like that. And his stride's a little shorter. His toes out a little bit, perhaps. And then we have a lot of swaying, right? Maybe he's swaying a good bit. Is his neck loose or stiff? His arm, see there. That's too much. It's hard to control as it goes through the body, so I'm going to leave that there. Stiff elbow, loose elbow. That's a little wonky. It almost looks like he's double jointed there. Sway more. Okay. Pull that back a little bit. Now we can even exaggerate crazy. There you go. Oh, look. It's all over the place. But I'm going to pull the exaggeration down, and I'm going to pull the speed down just a little bit. That may be too much. Pull it to like 91. That's pretty good right there. Okay, and I'm generally happy with that. You know, he's given the appearance. For me, this works. Maybe you need something a little more specific, but for me, this is kind of what I was looking for. So imagine this character walking down a hallway. He's not feeling too good. Maybe he has some injuries. You dress him up with some blood and some injuries and that kind of thing. So I've got this set up. I'm going to just simply record it, and we'll record for, say, 20 seconds or so. And so that's basically the first step, using the motion puppet to create your injured walk. Now notice his hand is still going through his body just a touch, and we're going to adjust that just as soon as we're done recording. And 15 seconds should be enough. Let's take our project to about 15 seconds. Okay, we'll go back to the beginning, and again I'm just going to use the edit motion. We're going to pull out his arm just a touch. Yeah, that's going to do it. Cool. Okay, so we've created a little keyframe for his arm there at the beginning. And yeah, that's pretty good. But you can get it however you want it. Set it up the way you like it. Okay, groovy. Now, his friend here, Chuck number 2 as it is going to be walking by his side. And we need to get him to approximately about the same speed. And so we're going to look at the motion puppet now for Chuck. Number 2, I'm going to select probably just the normal one, the basic walk. Let's see what that looks like. We'll adjust his location. Slow him down just a touch. I think we had the other guy at 91. We'll put this guy at 94. We don't want them to be walking at the exact same speed so they don't look like robots, but that's pretty good right there. Okay. So I'm going to record that. Give me 15 seconds of that, and then we will move forward with the next step. One of the things I noticed when I was using reach targets is you might have to set it from real time, this little button here, real time to by frame, in order to see it actually work well, because as Chuck number 1 is swaying and Chuck number 2 is attached to certain parts of his body, in real time his hands are going to go through and such. When you set it to by frame, you'll be able to see it work a little better. So, okay, groovy. That should be good for this for now. Now, like I said, second part, how do we attach Chuck number 2 to Chuck number 1? I'm going to use 2 reach targets. Now, what I do for my reach targets, you have 2 choices with reach targets. One of them is a reach target, which you can set up. The other is a reach effector. Reach effectors are by default, they're attached to the character's hands, chest, body, in these 5 separate parts here, in these 5 separate locations. However, reach effectors are very good at keeping a character pinned to a certain place. When you want to attach parts of his body to something that's moving or something else, I generally use reach targets, okay, not reach effectors. If you just want to put a character in a chair and seat him, then all you would need to do is position the character in the chair, use the reach effector on his hips and his legs, and that will pin him to the chair. But if you want a character to, say, have his hand on a steering wheel, and then you just turn the steering wheel and the hands will be moving, in that particular case, I'm going to use reach target. To create a reach target, I'm using the simplest prop I can. It's just going to be a box. And so we're going to have 2 of them, but we'll just start with 1 for now. Okay, I'm going to size it down. That should be good. And then I'm going to position it. Now Chuck 2 is going to have his first hand around the character's underarm, right? We're going to start with that, and I'll show you why. Go into reach target. It's going to be his right hand, and I'm going to pin it to that box. Now, I go in here, and I'm going to use rotation. I don't know if I'm going to want to use reach object or not. What reach object will do is it will pull his body. If the reach target is too far away, it will pull the rest of his body, whereas if you leave it unchecked, he just reaches for the box, but it doesn't pull his body towards the box if it's too far away. So for now, that's going to be fine. Now see how his hand's all wonky now? It's because it's rotated to the same way as the box. And that's fine. We're going to go in, take our box, and we're going to rotate it like that. Now maybe we'll pull it up. And we're going to pull it closer to the character's body. Maybe like that. There we go. Let's see. That's not bad. I think that's pretty good. Especially if we're maybe even bring it down a little bit. Let's see what happens there. Maybe like there. Because then you can actually see his hand. That's pretty good. Okay. And now I'm going to create a second reach target. I'm simply going to copy this by hitting Control and grabbing on the gizmo. See, now we've created a copy of this. And I'm going to, what we want him to do is to have his left hand on this character's elbow. So he's got one hand under his arm supporting the weight and one hand on his elbow supporting the weight on the other side. So simply go back into reach target. I'm going to select the left hand. I'm going to pin it. And we're going to set the rotation again. Okay. And so now we simply adjust the second reach target to be, let's see, pull it out. Okay. That's pretty good right there. Okay. Now the next thing, because you see his arm is going through his own body, we're going to try and fix that by using the edit motion. Let's see what we can do here. We can, what happens if we pull that out? A little better. And it's possible we might need, we're not going to be able to move him much closer. Let me see. What if we take, the reach target and change the position so that his hand is actually like this. Is that going to help at all? Maybe. Yeah, there we go. Like that. There we go. See that? That's actually looking pretty good there. Okay. We're going to want to adjust his other hand a little bit so that it's more like that. That's pretty good right there. Okay. But the reach targets have not been attached to chuck number 1. So let's do that now. I'm going into the box. We'll call this reach target 1 and reach target 2. Okay. reach target 1, we're now going to say, let's set this back to the beginning. By the way, ooh, that's going to hurt. Before we do that, because I'm working on the last frame of this, let's go ahead and remove the object animations on both of our reach targets, and then we're going to set it back to frame 1. Okay, hopefully the linking didn't happen. Okay, so we might have to, when I did that with the reach targets, when I removed object animation, it removed the reach target itself, I believe. So that's fine. We'll simply take our chuck and we'll set those reach targets again. It's in the animation tab, edit reach target, and then we're going to set the rotation. And see, because that's going to be a little bit more problematic, maybe we set him to the side. It's pretty far off on that one. I'm not going to worry about it right now. We'll come back to it. Where is it? Okay. If you can't see your other reach target, but you know that it's in here, it's in your scene manager, you can simply click the eyedropper and do it that way. Okay. All right. So now let's see if we can now adjust this guy here. Okay, and now we're going to adjust again the reach targets. Well, and we haven't set that second one to rotation. Okay. Sorry, because I did this on the last frame, it kind of screwed everything up, but that's okay. We're gonna fix it. Back into Chuck. Make sure reach target. We're dealing with the first one. Reach target left hand. Rotation. Okay, good. Second hand, did I set that to rotation? I did. Okay. Okay. Now with the second one, let's adjust it again like we did previously. Something like that. And then going to need to adjust Chuck's arm again by using the edit motion layer. Yeah, I hate the size of the bones. I know they let you change it. I wish the default size of the bones was much smaller. And set it to all bones so we can see a little better. Okay. All right, so see what we can do with the arm just by pulling it out that way. Okay. That's not bad. That looks pretty good right there. And we'll hide the reach targets later, so you don't need to worry that they're visible. Okay, so let's try this again. Now we're going to attach the reach targets to Chuck number 1. Go into the reach target itself, go down to link, and we'll attach that to his waist. And if it doesn't attach to the right place, you click this and you can find waist there. And then reach target number 2. We're going to attach, link to his, is it upper arm or lower arm? I'm gonna guess it's the forearm. Okay, let's see maybe what that looks like. Uh-oh, it's kind of looking good. Got a problem obviously in their positioning. Okay, that's okay. One thing that we might do with the positioning, we might take Chuck number 2 and move him back a little bit. Let's see if that will work. Chuck number 2. Move him behind Chuck number 1 a touch, and that also helps with a little bit, but let's see how that works. And then we'll move him to the right. Just a touch. Like that. Okay, so you see that it's starting to work pretty good. But you can play with it some. It's pretty good. Their bodies are not intersecting too much as they walk. And you might want to adjust the hand placements and such to be a little better. This is all up to you. I don't like the swaying of Chuck's hand on that one. Under. All right, it's going back and forth a lot. Wonder what happens if I set that second reach target with Chuck to be positioned. Let's see if that helps any. Remember how I started saying, so you got rotation and then reach object. Let's see what happens. I think that looks a little better. Okay, I'm good with that. Okay, now let's check the by frame. This hand here is moving too much. Okay, so let's think about reach target number one. What happens if we change the position of the link to, instead of the waist, we change it to the bone root. Let's see what that looks like. Nope, that ain't gonna work. Okay. Don't like that. What else do we got? Hip nub. Nope. Don't like that. Maybe something more in his chest. Waist, spine, neck, clavicle, fingers, forearm, ribs. Why don't we try ribs? See what that looks like. That's definitely closer to what we want. But I'm going to do one more thing. I think if we adjust the, go into the reach target for Chuck number 2 again. Reach target, and let's look at this one. And set this one to reach object as well. Let's see how that works. So now, yeah, there we go. Now he's attached good. I like that. Okay. Okay, that looks good to me. Okay, so step number 2 was adjusting Chuck number 2 to reach out and support Chuck number 1. So we've created the injured walk. Now we've attached our second character to, not attached it, but we've used reach targets to have him linked to that character in a fashion. But they're obviously not going anywhere, right? They stay in one place when they're walking. The way that I dealt with that, I simply added another box. Try and get down. And then I had linked both characters to that box. Very simple thing. I'm, not as worried about the feet sliding for my particular scene. I had the camera a little higher than the feet, so that wasn't a big deal to me. Chuck number 1, link to the box. Chuck number 2, link to the box. Okay, that's fine. We're going to move the box down the hallway. We'll do that as our last step. Now, another thing, I'm going to use some puppeteering on Chuck number 2 to have him looking at the character at times and looking down the hallway at times. Easy thing to do. So we simply go back into the animation tab. I'm going to use, is it direct puppet? Yeah. And I'm going to select his head. I'm going to use the rotate screen based. And we'll preview it real quick and I'll show you why. See? Now he can look like he's looking down the hall, but also looking at the injured character, making sure he's okay, but also checking out his surroundings. So that's what we're going to do. Quickly record. Very easy to do. He's Checking the guy out, looking down the hallway. He's concerned. If I didn't have this set to by frame, it would probably be running a little faster. But that's okay. Remember, when you change it from by frame, it's probably going to look a little wonkier, a little jerkier. But that's okay because when it renders, it's doing it by frame, and so that's going to be okay. Okay, that's probably pretty good for me, right? Oops, let's change this from by frame. Okay. There we go. See how his hands are a little jerking a little bit, but it's going to be fine when it renders because it will be rendering by frame. But now we have his head adjusted a little bit. We have the head animated a little bit. And now the last step would finally be, let me see if I can add some kind of scenery for us. I don't know, whatever. Let's change it to a terrain, nice, something simple. Sure. You want iCar? Oh, I haven't seen the iCar body shop terrain before. Okay. Old. Maybe not that one. Terrain. Just wanted to add some kind. We'll just do it as a plain 3D blocks. Wall, floor. Okay. So now all we would do, he's at step 1. We select the box that I linked them both to, which is here, and we go to the end, which is there, and we move that box forward to here. Okay. Now you'll want to adjust things so that it looks, they're sliding a lot here. Perhaps at the beginning, then we can move it back even further so that they're here. There we go. That looks a little better. But like I said, when I'm using the camera, I'm probably going to, in the case where I actually did this, it's more like this. So you're not too worried about the feet sliding. Noticing from that angle, his fingers need to probably be adjusted here. That's very easy to do. Chuck number 2, go into his edit motion layer, and it's going to be his right hand, right? And simply adjust those fingers a little bit, maybe more like that. So instead of adjusting the hand from here, remember you want to adjust the reach target. We'll just knock it back a little bit. Excuse me. Like so. Like that. Change the rotation. When playing with reach targets, you always adjust the position of the reach target and not of the character's hand that's attached to it. So that should be pretty good right there. Okay. And so, again, there we go. And now you just simply hide the boxes where you can turn them to dummies. And you have a character walking down a hallway supporting another character who is injured. Okay? That's it. That's all I had. I hope it was useful to somebody. And you guys have yourself a wonderful day. And happy eye cloning.